My name is Anamita Guha, and I'm excited to talk to you about conversational interfaces today. So, conversational interfaces is basically a fancy way to say bots. Have any of you in the audience built a bot before? A couple of hands, okay. So that'll help me go through the pace of the conversation. How about interacted with a bot? That should be every single one of you. If you've ever dialed something and there's a phone tree, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. That's the original bot. Cool, so to get started, I want to give a little introduction to myself. So I studied cognitive science, and I spent some time doing research in psychology. I worked on human explanation and child development. From there, I went into startups. I went through a series of startups. This post-it notes or post-it note, scrappy startup culture. And now I work at Ibm Watson. So what exactly do I do? At Watson, I'm a product manager working on developer tools for developers building with Watson. Specifically, developers building conversational interfaces. And what you'll learn today is that conversational interfaces is more than just a chatbot. It manifests in very, very different mediums, and we'll go through each of them. So we'll go through a simple, what is a conversation? We'll talk about some conversation terminology to really lay the foundation, and then we'll talk about designing conversations and how you guys should be using this for your business. So to start, what's a conversation? Conversation on a most basic level is two people interacting with each other. It could be one person interacting with a group, or a group interacting with one person, but there's a dialogue that's happening. Right now, I'm talking to you. We're not necessarily having a conversation. You could have an internal monologue with yourself, but I'm not responding to you because I don't know what you're saying. So, types of conversation. The green arrow is denoting simple to the most complex type of conversation. Yellow, talking nice, is exchanging pleasantries. So in the morning, you go get your coffee at the cafe, you're asking about how their day is, the weather, basic conversation. Next is talking tough, and this is debate. So you have your point of view, the other person has their point of view, you're just sharing points of view. So rather than something grand happening, it's just two people sharing what they think. From there we go to reflexive dialogue, and that's actually when you are reflecting on what you're thinking and trying to gauge someone else's ideas and going back and forth. It's actually a pretty complex form of conversation. The last one, generative dialogue, I think of it as the meeting of the minds. So it's kind of like I don't know, maybe have you ever had like a crazy idea while you're drunk or out very late with no sleep? You're coming up with concepts and theories that you've never thought of or ideas that you haven't even considered. And that is generative dialogue. Verbal and nonverbal communication. So verbal communication is what's happening right now. I'm talking with words, talking with text. Nonverbal communication is hand gestures, eye contact, body language, and all of that actually conveys the entire scenario of the conversation. So 7% rule, has anyone ever heard about the 7% rule? Okay, some yeses, most no's. That number actually is debated. So some people will say 6%, 7%, 10%. Most people say it's 7%. Which is 7% of human communication is actually verbal, 93% is nonverbal. So when you think about this, if you're texting someone, a lot of things get lost in translation, versus when you're on the phone, you are able to pick up more of how the other person is feeling. And when you're in person, face-to-face, you get the other components like eye contact, body language. So that's the 7% rule. Turing Test. The Turing Test was developed by Alan Turing in 1950, and this was his way of saying, can man and machine really communicate? And when that happens, will man and woman actually think the machine on the other end is a person? So if it passes the Turing Test, then it's at human level of conversation. So if you guys watch the Google Assistant demo that happened where someone was calling to do a hair appointment, that clearly passes the Turing Test. But if you call and you know it's a bot, that doesn't pass the Turing Test. And then the last one is NLP. So NLP, in my mind, stands for two different things. So if you go back to psychology research and biology research, neurobiology, NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming. And that is how the language and the thought in your body and mind come together and manifest in behavior. So it's actually the neural circuitry that's happening. Now it's known as natural language processing. And that's a computer science term of how you are typing and talking, and how that creates a conversational entity that you have. So what is a conversational interface? It's more than a chatbot. It, like I said, manifests in different forms. You can have it as a Slack bot, on your phone, on your computer. It can be a Google Home. It can be in your Alexa. Anything that you talk to, verbally, non-verbally, to have some sort of output is a conversational interface. And here I wanted to show you a video. I'll watch it, then we'll talk about it.
Nice to meet you.
Well, at Air New Zealand, we're exploring lots of different digital innovation, and the reason for that's very simple. We know there's lots of pain points and frustrations that we can solve with digital innovation. We want to make the experience better for our customers. Well, artificial intelligence is one of the big areas that we are very focused around, and we've started initially with Oscar the bot, and then now we're partnering with Soul Machines, which is an absolutely fantastic New Zealand company, to create a digital human called Sophie, who's also powered by IBM Watson.
Economy Sky Couch is a row of 3 economy seats that turn into a couch in the sky.
And the whole purpose is really to investigate, to explore the role that digital humans can play in improving the customer experience.
It was like talking to a real person.
She's very clever, knows a lot about New Zealand.
It was really cool, really cool.
Digital human's made up of 3 different parts of technology. The first is actually creating that detailed physiological computer image of a real life human. The second part of it is the persona behind the face. And then the final step is how we bring Sophie to life in a real life interactive situation. Sophie learns literally from every single interaction that she has with a person.
Well, these experiments like Sophie are really important because it's all about learning, and we're going to keep trying and exploring and understanding, and it's all fundamentally at the end of the day about making the customer experience and the customer journey much better.
Cool. What do you guys think? Humans, robots, virtual avatars. That's also a conversational interface. You can view Sophie in an AR/VR entity, so you can have your headset on, you can have your phone and have her talk to you, or the way that Air New Zealand's doing it is with little interfaces, like smart mirrors or just display boards where she's present and you can talk to her. All right, so why should we care? Why are bots important? Why is that like a buzzword? Is it just a buzzword? You should care for multiple reasons. So the first one is just for your business. Bots in general have been known to be very good customer service agents because a lot of the things people in customer service do is repetitive. Credit Mutual, a bank here, has reported a 60% increase in revenue just by using bots for customer service. So instead of having to have a user wait in line for a very long time to get a simple transaction done, they can do it with a bot. On the second right side, I have a chatbot with Facebook, and this is in collaboration with eBay, which is actually changing how you shop. So you can have a personal assistant that's helping you shop, and they've reported millions of dollars increase in revenue as well. The second use case is bots for education. And this is really, really important because it allows you to have a personalized educational experience. Everyone learns differently, and having bots and technology is a great way to empower the end user to figure out how they learn best. So the first example I have is of Quizlet. I actually don't know if Quizlet exists here. Do you guys use Quizlet? No? So it's basically an online flashcard system where you can just go back and forth and help you study very quickly. Quizlet has created bots that happen in many different mediums, so it could be a voice bot that you can interact with on your like your voice machine, Alexa, whatever it may be, or on your chatbot, however you study best. It allows you to go through your flashcards. The second example I have here is a professor at Georgia Tech. His name is Ashok Goel. He created a chatbot that was a teaching assistant for his university course on artificial intelligence. And this assistant basically understood all of the common questions that students would have, like when is this paper due? How much of my grade is it? And simple questions like what topic is this on? Do we have tomorrow off? But Jill was learning from the students as well. And she not only knew the basic questions, but she started to come up with inside jokes that the students had and was able to converse in a very, very human-like way, passing the Turing test. Ashok Goel, the professor, actually reported a couple of students even asked Jill out, thinking there was a teacher. And that's how impactful that bot was. The third example I have here is of a pepper. This pepper was created to help children with autism interact with others when it comes with emotion. So it'll give a different color to say that I'm angry, or it'll help you learn in different scenarios where you're able to maybe not pick up emotions or social cues as best as possible. So having bots around really manifests a very good foundation of personalized learning. And finally, bots for good. So a lot of times bots have been referred to as empathy machines because what bots do, they foster repetitive behavior and habit formation. So the first example I have is VisaBot, and immigration in the US is the worst it's ever been in a very long time. And this bot helps people understand the new laws, how things are changing, how to apply for different visas, and really understand their rights. And it helps a lot of non-English speakers or English speakers to really figure out, can we stay here? What's next for me? The second example I have is fundraising. So a lot of people have been using bots to help interact with someone on the other end. So here, you're having a chat with Charity Water, and you're raising money for water consumption and clean water in different parts of the world. In VR, it's actually very interesting when you have a virtual entity that's taking you through in someone else's shoes. You can literally walk in someone else's shoes in VR. So being able to go through and experience what the person on the other end is feeling really makes you want to drive and do something for the world. So bots are being used for fundraising more and more. And finally, Woebot. Woebot's actually one of my favorite bots. It's used to help people with mental health. A lot of parts of the world still have a stigma associated with mental health, and it's a bot that lets you talk to someone about how you're feeling in an anonymized way, and that really makes bots very unique. So you're never actually alone, and if you feel like you're alone, you can go to Woebot and it'll help you feel better. So finally, how can I get started? Why should I care? Beyond the basic use cases of how it improves your business revenue numbers wise and how you can have a personalized experience for your customers and even also change the world, bots can, anything that you do over and over again, it can be automated. Bots are here to help you. And if you just take a moment and reflect on something you do every day, maybe you do, at the end of the workday, you do the same 7 things. If you can make that into a bot, or if you manually are typing in notes or something, make that into a bot, you'll be saving so much time and effort that can be used to work on the larger problems in the world. And if everyone in the world is coming together and using technology to automate certain parts of their lives, the world is ours. So I encourage all of you to look into how to build a bot, think about what would make sense for you personally and also for your business, and get started. So I have a few resources, IBM specific, that you can look into if you want to get started with building a bot. Otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I love talking bots. Thank you.